Back to number 5, Garden Refuse Ordinance Amendment presented by Ben Moody. Welcome back, Ben.
Thank you. All right, so the item I have before you is one. It's the second reintroduction of. It's the reintroduction of the update to the Garden Refuge Ordinance. So basically, what I'm coming back to you from last meeting, instead of actually considering it for adoption tonight, we're reintroducing it with a little bit of language. When we looked into it a little bit, it's probably over the top, but I really wanted to be specific about the bag. Before, when we coordinated with Recology, we talked about taking the cardboard box out. And when we looked at that contract language with Recology, there was a specific requirement about overages that they can be in the bag. So when the public residents decide to bag those leaves, there's no confusion in that ordinance that it's allowed in bags up to 50 pounds. You set it next to the bin. And so with that, tonight we're basically updating it to reintroduce, to put that specific sentence in about the bags being allowed. And I want to come back with you with a little bit more information just with our outreach that we're working towards putting a mailer out in the water bill, social media, and we're working to have the street sweeper wrapped with a campaign. This is what we're working on right now. That would probably be a third of a sheet mailer that would go into the water bill that has basically our campaign about don't blow it, bin it, bag it. We'll have a little bit of information on the back about put it in the waste or bag it. Got a little bit of the red marks about the potential violations. We're not trying to harp on that, but we're trying to show it and be proactive with letting the public know. This is a quick slide. I know it's a little bit small, but this is what the sweeper. So our sweeper is being wrapped with this, and so as it drives around town, we'll have one side with the don't blow it, bin it, bag it, and then we'll have this on the other side about the stormwater prevention, and then we'll have a HR ad on the back. So you'll see that within the next few weeks, hopefully cruising around town with some decals on it. And so with that, I'd like to reintroduce the ordinance with the updates, and I'd be happy waive the first reading and happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from council? Any comment from the public?
Actually, through the mayor, I do have one.
Yep.
Going back to what you said about the outreach, how soon is all of this going to take effect? Because fall is here, winter's coming, the leaves are going to start falling. Going back to what my fellow council member said, I really want to see us get ahead of this and be aggressive in our outreach to our residents and the public to know. And is there anything we thought about asking Recology as well to do something on their end to help partner this? Because last thing we want to see is piles of leaves in the street and people getting violations and nasty grams. And how soon and aggressive can we hit this campaign is really what I'm asking.
So this update with any changes to the ordinance won't become effective until 30 days after the adoption. So it will come back to you on November 5th, and then best case scenario, if it should the council approve it, then it would come into effect 30 days later. So you're looking around December 5th. By that time, a lot of the leaves have been fallen, and so you won't see any sort of code enforcement action partaking before that. But we will work to implement some of that social media that pushes for, hey, to bin it, bag it. With the sweeper is going to be wrapped beforehand, doing its laps around the city, and it's a little bit. I don't with the mailer, the timing's a little bit. Basically, I have to send it out at the end of the week in order to meet the November deadline. But at the same time, I don't want to post anything that doesn't have council approval and through. So we're working on maybe modifying it slightly so it doesn't have the exact effective date. So then that way we could give out the advance notice so we could hit that November timeline versus waiting and sending it out with the December bill where it comes out later on. So we're weighing those options to figure out how to get it out in the mail correctly, but also could use social media for a quick response.
Yeah. Just my thoughts on this. Whether or not we pass an ordinance and amend this and clean it up or not, it's just good for our city to pick the trash up off the streets and dispose of it the way it should. So I would like to see us even just start with the awareness campaign without an effective date. People should be putting it in the green totes, put it in bags or something today. So I'd like to see us just kind of get ahead of this before the ordinance actually gets here. There's nothing saying we can't have a marketing campaign to ask people to do the right thing without the ordinance. Please correct me if I differ from the council up here, but I think we just need to get ahead of it and not wait till December.
We'll work on that.
Elaine, do you have something to say? Come on down.
Elaine Miles, and I live on Jamie Drive. I don't have a single solitary tree in my yard, but a whole lot of things blow from other people's yards. How are you going to hold the people who are really responsible for this? And the drains down the street from me, I see them blocked by lots of leaves, and they're about a half a block from me. Don't blow it, bag it. I think that stuff needs to go out right away. But how are we really going to enforce this? They should have been in bags, not pushed out to the street. So I agree with that. But get it out to the people. But what do you do when it all blows into your yard? And you're held responsible? I don't think that's right. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. Anybody else? Come on down. Welcome.
My name's Dale McDowell. I live on Sharon Drive. This would probably go in. It hadn't been mentioned about it, but I'm surprised that it's gone this long. Some of these blowers that blow things out in the street, it's ridiculous. And that brings up the issue about a blower. These should be vacuumed up and not blown. I have three. I live on the intersection. And there's 3 houses around me that blow. And I mean, these people come in and they blow with a blower for an hour. I was out one day watching, and they have no respect for people walking by, neighbors or anything else. I was out one day and they was blowing. There's always a breeze going north or south or east or west. Somewhere a breeze blowing. They're blowing dirt. And they keep blowing, and they whip it up in the air, and it was blowing over to the next block. And I told him, I said, "You're blowing dirt over there." He said, "No, that's not God, you're doing that." But they take these blowers, and they just blow. We had the fire, unfortunate fire for Paradise. We got a lot of smoke down there. And it eventually calmed down, everything settled down. The next week, they were by with the blowers, and they blow it off the street. They had it going up in the fog again. And so there should be some control put on the people with the blowers. It's ridiculous. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale.
Hello, Liz Cervantes, 862 Country Lane in Yuba City. I live in the county, but have rental properties in the city, and would love to know if landlords are going to be held responsible for this type of thing. Thank you, Mayor. You guys are tearing it up. I love it.
Thank you, Liz. We have a quick input on that question there, Ben, by chance?
So to respond to Elaine and Dale, this ordinance update would address those concerns that basically, instead of having those conflicts, it would specifically say it needs to be binned or put in the recycling bin. Regarding the nuisance, so this would be added to our current nuisance. And Shannon, I'm looking to you a little bit, but my understanding from the code is it goes to the property owner. But that wouldn't keep us from YC 311 when it comes in. Typically how it comes in is some sort of complaint. Code enforcement responds to it, and if it is a rental property, it's usually a knock on the door or some sort of mailer that goes out to them with a warning. In those rental property situations, we usually address both the site address and the owner of that. And
And Ben, if I could jump in really quickly, it applies to the person owning, leasing, or subleasing or occupying the property. So it gives the city the maximum flexibility in order for enforcement. As a practical matter, a lot of people who are leasing property have clauses in their agreement that require them to comply with state, local, and federal law. So there is an option for landlords to help enforce that as well.
Through the mayor, it just struck me after listening to the public speak is outreach to the landscape contractors, who are the ones that, in addition to the public, are going to be. Do we have any means or methods of targeting them with the information?
So we did. And so before we brought this late September, we pulled all of the licensed business licensed contractors in the city. I think it was around in the 70s that we did a correspondence. We sent out a letter to them and basically asked for this input, said, hey, here's the draft ordinance that we're thinking about doing. And out of that 73, I think we received one from a larger contractor, landscape contractor, who basically told us verbally that they were okay with it. They just thought that they wanted to treat the small guys fairly as the large guys, was the input back that, hey, we're happy to comply, but we want the city to make everybody comply fairly.
All right. Anybody else care to comment? All right. We have a motion.
Through the mayor,
Yep.
I'd like to make staff's recommendation of the Garden Refuge Ordinance Amendment through staff's recommendation.
All right. Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much, Ben.
Thank you.